House Joint Resolution 1013 by Representative Wyden, also Senator Aguilar, concerning commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the University of Denver.
Representative Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Joint Resolution 1013 and ask that my fellow DU alums and friends come down, and also that it be read at length.
Whereas, founded on March 5, 1864, only a few years after the city of Denver was founded, the University of Denver, DU, is the oldest independent university in the Rocky Mountain region of the United States. And whereas the university's 125-acre campus, classified as an arboretum, is home to more than 11,000 students, of which 6,000 are pursuing master's and doctoral degrees. The university offers more than 170 undergraduate programs of study and more than 120 graduate and professional programs. And whereas DU's student body represents all regions of the United States as well as 93 other countries. And whereas U.S. News & World Report's annual college rankings for undergraduate education, released in September 2013, ranked the University of Denver among the nation's top 100 universities at 91st, which ranking is tied with the Colorado School of Mines, Florida State University, Auburn University, University of Massachusetts Amherst, and University of San Diego. And whereas the University of Denver ranks 6th in the nation among doctoral and research institutions in the percentage of undergraduate students participating in study abroad programs. And whereas DU Pioneer Athletics program has captured a record 5 of the last 6 Learfield Sports IAAA Directors' Cups, placing it in the top spot among NCAA Division I non-football schools. And whereas prominent DU alumni include former U.S. Olympic figure skater Michelle Kwan, Peter Morton, founder of Hard Rock Cafe, Roger Birnbaum, CEO and co-founder of Spyglass Entertainment, former U.S. Army Chief of Staff 4-star General George W. Casey, Jr., Peter Coors, chairman of Molson Coors Brewing Company, former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, David Adkins, the comedian known as Sinbad, and Peter Funt, host of Candid Camera. And whereas the DU campus is home to the Chester M. Alter Arboretum, which features more than 2,300 trees representing more than 240 species and varieties, as well as dozens of shrub species that provide the landscape with year-round beauty. And whereas the university owns 2 observatories, the historic Chamberlain Observatory, which has been monitoring the cosmos since 1894, and the Meyer-Wamble Observatory, which sits above 14,000 feet atop Mount Evans, 60 miles west of campus. And whereas DU is home to several institutes and centers dedicated to the public good, such as the Resource Center for Separating and Divorcing Families, the Institute for the Advancement of the American Legal System, the Bridge Project, and the Institute for Human-Animal Connection. And whereas the University of Denver is home to the Sturm College of Law, known for its innovative programs to produce practice-ready lawyers, and the Daniels College of Business, which is the country's 8th oldest business college and is known for its emphasis on business ethics. And whereas DU's Joseph Corbell School of International Studies offers intellectually rigorous programs that prepare students for careers in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. And whereas the university's innovative undergraduate study abroad program, Charrington Global Scholars, sends eligible juniors and seniors to other countries for advanced study at the same cost they would pay for a comparable period on campus. And whereas, with a job placement rate of 95% within 6 months of graduation, the Daniel Felix Ritchie School of Engineering and Computer Science produces graduates ready to excel in highly productive technical and scientific teams. And whereas, over the past 25 years, the DU campus has been transformed, largely due to the efforts and generosity of DU's 16th Chancellor Daniel Ritchie, who guided the university from 1989 to 2005. And whereas, since 1997, DU has opened 19 new academic, residential, and administrative buildings, remarkable growth in preparation for the educational needs of the 21st century. And whereas, Robert D. Coombe has served as the University of Denver's 17th Chancellor since July 2005. During his 9 years in the post, he has overseen the institution's academic renaissance, its most successful fundraising campaign ever, the launch of a groundbreaking initiative in STEM, education, and the successful hosting of the first presidential debate of the 2012 election. And whereas Coombe came to the university in 1981 as a faculty member in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. Since then, he has served the institution in a variety of leadership positions, first as department chair, later as dean of what was then the Division of Natural Sciences, Mathematics and Engineering, and from 2001 to 2005 as provost. Coombe will retire from the institution in the summer of 2014. Now therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 69th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, recognize the many contributions and achievements of the University of Denver as we celebrate and observe its 150th anniversary. Be it further resolved that a copy of this joint resolution be sent to Governor John Hickenlooper, Chancellor Robert Coombe, Provost Craig Kvistad, Vice Chancellor and Chief Marketing Officer Kevin Carroll, Vice Chancellor of University Advancement Scott Lumpkin, Associate Vice Chancellor Christine Cecil, Chairman of the Board of Trustees Trig Mirren, Chairman-elect of the Board of Trustees Doug Scrivener, University Counsel Paul Chan, Faculty Senate President Scott Luteniger, Executive Director of Communication for University Advancement Julie Sharon, and Executive Director of Conference Events and Special Programs Kathy Grieve.
Representative, well, actually, you know, I thought it was funny that none of you were mentioned as distinguished alumni as you stand there.
We will be. We will be.
We'll see about that. Representative Ryden.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's still early. It's still early. On the 200th anniversary, I'm sure we'll all be listed on that list. Members, go ahead and sit down. I know some of our folks have something they may want to say. I just wanted to say a couple words. And as I was thinking this morning, I don't know if I really want to admit this, but 50 years ago, DU was celebrating its centennial. And I was finishing my freshman year there. So time does fly, and it's been fun. At that time, I think DU could have been, you know, described as a cozy little campus in South Denver, kind of a family atmosphere. Our business school was downtown, our law school was downtown. We just had the small campus there in South Denver, and we pretty much stayed on campus. Hardly anyone even had a car, so I mean, things have certainly changed. I was involved in mass communications, the DU Clarion, the KVDU radio, and I did meet my future and current husband there, Jerome, and he was editor of the DU Clarion in 1968 when a lot of exciting things were happening on campus. But today, I think the campus has just been, you know, totally transformed and is really poised for the next century and a half of progress and of educating students and preparing them to be really productive citizens. And I really do appreciate the current motto that they're using, which is that DU is a private university devoted to the public good. And I think that really describes what DU is all about. So my recollections, and I'd welcome my other colleagues to give a few memories of their own.
Representative Ryden, it is a great campus in the best House district in the state, so. Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would just like to echo Representative Ryden, and it's transformed quite substantially since I was there and graduated in 1997 with my Master's in International Management. And, you know, just, you know, the new athletic center and the new business school, the new law school, it's just tremendous. And I just wish we had all those things when I was there. But, you know, and just sort of also echo some of the great programs that they have. One in particular brings in high school students from around the region for robotics competitions, and they do that also in the athletic center. And it's just really absolutely amazing to see these high school students put together these robots that do all sorts of things like throw basketballs and basketball hoops and things like that. And so really, you know, not just excelling academically on campus, but really, you know, playing a role to encourage academic excellence around the region. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Representative Ryden, for bringing this. I actually credit DU with restoring my love of learning. I actually went to CU Law School, and it's a great school. I enjoyed it, but I would say that after I graduated from CU Law School, the last thing I wanted to do was pick up anything and read it. And for anyone in the room that's gone to law school, maybe you can identify, maybe you can't, maybe it was just me that I just didn't excel, but it was tough. And I graduated from law school, got my job as a deputy DA, and about 4 years later decided to go to DU and get a master's degree at the Corbell School of International Studies. And for no other reason than I just wanted to do it. And the only reason I could do it was because, and I know that DU is famous for this, but their flexibility in their night classes and the part-time status that the students can do. I went to night classes and really enjoyed it. The professors were top-notch. The subject matter was just something that I loved to learn. And I feel fortunate to have been able to have that opportunity to go to DU at the time. So I really do appreciate everything the university does, particularly the part-time programs for night students, and I hope that it continues for the next 150 years.
Representative Waller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, members, I want to tell you about one of the finer moments in my lifetime. I was a young captain in the United States Air Force back at Beale Air Force Base in Northern California. And I decided that I wanted an opportunity to go back to school. I wanted to go to law school. But I'll tell you, members, I didn't do so well in my undergrad degree. I was one of those guys that majored in things other than academic pursuits. We'll just say that.
That's shocking news.
Well, you know, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, I didn't have the best experience in my undergrad career, and I went and got a master's degree while I was in the military, and then gained some confidence from that and decided I wanted to give law school a try. But I didn't know if I'd be able to get in. I went and took a bar prep course, studied hard, or took an LSAT prep course, studied hard for the LSAT, took that, and then I sent off my applications to law schools. And I only applied to a couple of law schools because my wife and I were going to be moving to Colorado Springs, where she would continue her career in the military, and I would get out and go full-time to law school if I were to be accepted. So I can tell you, I remember the day my wife and I are standing in the foyer of our house in Yuba City, California, when the letter came that said, "Congratulations, you've been accepted to law school." That was a defining moment in my lifetime, getting that opportunity to go to law school. It was such an incredible experience and opportunity that I knew I was going to get to embark on just by getting to go to law school. And I remember showing up the first day and walking in. There was at the old campus at 17th and Monaco, there was a room there that had the old law library, and it was the old law library where they had all of these, 100-year-old books. And I can remember walking into that library for the first time and just drinking it in, drinking that experience in. I'll tell you, for most people that go to law school, it's an experience. It's a tough experience. It's difficult, and people, don't necessarily enjoy it all that much. I'm not that guy. I appreciated every single second and moment I was there, because I know not everybody gets the opportunity to do that. Now, I didn't make too many mistakes while I was in law school. Well, voting for Joe Salazar for body president, or whatever it was, president of. Maybe I would reconsider that decision now. But what an absolutely wonderful experience. I appreciate the practicality with which they teach law at DU. I got to be a member of the student legal program while I was there, and I went off and defended people in their court cases. And actually, the Dean Emeritus, Dean Yegi, was my advisor doing this, and so I had this license to practice as a student lawyer. And we went in and we handled like dog bite cases and shoplifting cases and things like that. And I remember going into court one day, and I'm sitting there and I'm kind of talking to the client. Again, I'm a student. I'm nervous as heck to be in front of a judge. I'd only done it once or twice before. I get a call from Dean Yegi. "Mark, my dog got out. I'm chasing him around the neighborhood trying to find him. You can handle this on your own. Go right ahead. You can take care of it. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, there's absolutely no way this is going to work. I'm not even licensed to practice law in the state of Colorado. But in putting that sort of faith and confidence in me and letting me know that I was going to be able to move forward and be successful that day was something meaningful to me, and I was incredibly appreciative of that. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention my favorite law professor while I was at DU College of Law, Karen Steinhauser. I don't know if many of you know her. She comes down to the Capitol quite often and testifies, but I became a DA because of Karen Steinhauser. She convinced me that that's where my heart lied and that's what I needed to do. And I'll never forget the words that she gave me. I always thought I'd be a defense attorney, believe it or not. But Karen said to me, as I was in my 3rd year of law school, she said, "Mark, I think you'd be an outstanding DA. You know why? Because you have empathy for the other side." And that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of knowledge and practical learning that you get out of DU, and that's why I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to go there.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess that's as low as it goes, huh? Have that step stool, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, I know. Maybe I should just sit down. Mr. Speaker, I had one day in my life that I considered to be the proudest day of my life, as well as one of the proudest days of my life, as well as one of the saddest days. And it was the day that I received my acceptance to DU Law School. My grandfather had passed away just a few weeks prior to that, and I know that he would have been really proud of that accomplishment. And we were approaching the anniversary of the death of my other grandfather, who was a janitor at DU Law School. And so that was a very mixed emotion day, but my family celebrated it quite a bit. I was the very first in my family to go to college, very first to go to law school. And that moment triggered just a life change for me, going to law school and just experiencing it. And I have to say, I agree with Representative Waller that I loved every single bit of it. Even when I found out that he voted for me as student body president, I happened to lose, and I'm attributing it to his vote and his endorsement. But it was a grand experience. I had a professor, Ved Nanda. Many of you know, in fact, many people know him the world over as one of the foremost international law experts. I was able to participate in the student clinic where I represented poor folks in eviction proceedings. I didn't represent anybody on any dog bite cases, but in mediations. And that was a very powerful experience for me to participate in that at a grassroots level. And I came away from that law school experience with this very enormous weight on my back, because I thought to myself, I'm the very first person to do this in my family, and there's much that's expected now. You know, I have this knowledge that it costs a lot of money to pay to get, but I have this knowledge, and so what am I going to do with it? How am I going to use this knowledge to help benefit humanity? And it's been an everyday, constant struggle to make sure that I fight for what is right. And that's what I learned at DU Law School, because it was a law school of not just rich kids, and I think Representative Waller would know this. It wasn't just rich kids who were there. There were a lot of grassroots kids there. There were a lot of broke kids there who happened to get accepted into a fine, fine law school and who came away with a law degree and a huge amount of responsibility. And that's what I walked away from DU Law School with. I walked away with that in my heart. And so it was a life-changing experience, and I wish that everybody here would experience it. I mean, there's some people here who should go to law school. You're extremely bright. You're extremely passionate. You're, yeah, Representative Zabel right there. It would be amazing to see you at DU Law School. I don't know how you'd mix it up if you got there. But you know, I attribute this life-changing experience to DU. Thank you very much.
Representative Everett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Ryden, for bringing this. I need to take this off the Zabo Salazar setting, though. There we go. It's a little bit better. What can I say about my DU law school experience? I graduated a semester early in 2000. Part of the great thing about DU is it allows the flexibility for people that, you know, were trying to pursue a career with the night program that Representative Foote talked about, to actually complete their law degree and actually, in my case, you know, actually completed early. With that and having a night program, and I was actually a day student that would do night classes. I don't know if there's anybody that would figure that out from me being here in the legislature, that maybe night classes work a little bit better for me. But
That explains it.
but the benefit of having the night program is you actually had adjunct professors that actually practiced, so you didn't have someone that had basically graduated from Yale Law School and then went into academia and had no real-world experience. You could actually get practical knowledge from a lot of these professors, which I think, you know, being able to apply that immediately was very beneficial. Also, while I was on the Student Bar Association, I actually did run for Student Bar Association president. There seems to be a trend going on here. I lost by 6 votes, and it was a very good political lesson because I was actually running against a Democrat, and they bussed other people in from other law schools. So, you know, it was my first introduction to the reality of politics here in Colorado. You know, and also the hanging Chaz, you know, losing by 6 votes. And, you know, I got Bo Pray's legal team in to try to help me out, but that didn't work. I learned another political lesson also while I was at DU Law School. When I was on the Student Bar Association, before I ran for Student Bar Association president, we saw we were competing with CU law students 93% of the time to get jobs. And CU law students, because they had a high bar passage rate, were getting these jobs. We found out that the GPA curve, there's a huge disparity between the GPA curves, because in law school, because they're lawyers that don't know how to do math, they have GPA curves. At CU, it was a B average, so an 84. At DU, it was basically a C plus, B minus. And the registrar was like, no, we don't have a problem with this. We send employers a 3-page letter explaining our GPA curve. And I'm like, no one's, when they're getting 300 resumes, they're not going to read a 3-page letter, you know, to explain the GPA curve. So we actually got it raised from a C plus, B minus to around a B. I think it was a 2.85 to a 3.15, which, you know, in all honesty, that was really self-serving because I figured there's no way you could fail out at that point. So I was able to complete my degree. But going through that process, dealing with the faculty senate, and sort of negotiating a deal and people with egos having to save face. I think it was a good political lesson on trying to, you know, work through something and get a coalition together to get that passed, because we had to get it passed through the faculty senate. And we know how slowly things work when anything has senate associated with its name. But overall, my experience was good, and obviously when we actually have time to, in the real world, to earn a living, you know, the DU law degree has been invaluable to me. And thank you again, Representative Ryden, for bringing this resolution, and I really appreciate my experience at DU. Thanks.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And many of you know that I'm actually a CU alum, so I'm ready to have a long, vigorous debate about this resolution and introduce dozens and dozens of amendments, which I'm sure will not fit under this bill title. No, in all actuality, though, you also know that I was raised by a single mother. My mom started her collegiate career at Greeley, but then didn't finish, but while I was in high school, went to the Women's College at DU. And so the Women's College at DU is great for working women because they allow women who have jobs, who have families, to be able to go on and continue their education and hopefully be able to then turn that into a better job and a better life for their families. And so while she was doing that, I was in high school, and she was actually a big inspiration to me for when I went to college and really helped me see exactly what to be prepared for. So I went to come down and speak on behalf of my mother and the Women's College at DU and say that it is a great program at that school, even though it's not at CU. It's all right. So thank you, Representative Wright, for having this.
Representative Duran.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And I rise in support of the resolution today. I love hearing the stories about law school. I actually didn't go to DU Law School. I went to CU Law School. That was a long time ago, and I had the pleasure of serving as president of the Student Bar Association, and my good friend, Representative Pabon, was president of the class. And so, but long before CU, I went to the University of Denver. And I studied public policy and Spanish and had a double major in public policy and Spanish. And so really from a perspective of being an advocate for so many different issues, it was amazing to be in those classes with people like Peter Groff and Governor Lamb and Richard Caldwell and debate so many crucial issues to the state of Colorado. They really pushed me outside of my box and outside of my comfort zone when it came to different issues. And I think as a result of some of those classes that happened when I was at the University of Denver, it's made me a better legislator as well now in this role. But I was recently thinking about how much I cherish my experience at the University of Denver, because if it wasn't for many of the scholarships, merit scholarships that I received from the University of Denver, I would have never been able to go there. And I attended the play Just Like Us not too long ago that, as we know, Helen Thorpe wrote, and because of the support of Daniel Ritchie, it was shown at the Denver Center for Performing Arts. And for those of you that don't know what that book is about or what that play is about, it's about 4 Latina girls who go to the University of Denver, 2 of them who are documented and 2 of them who are not. And I remember watching the play and just feeling so much like I remember what those days were like and related to it on so many different levels. And I just want to thank the University of Denver for all of the work that they do to make sure that they have a diversified student body, and thank them so much too for the scholarship money and the grants that I was able to receive, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to go there. So thank you.
Any further conversation? Seeing none, is there any objection to taking a voice vote? Seeing none, we'll proceed in that manner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. HJR 1013 is passed. Representative Riden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors to HJR 1013.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be made co-sponsors of HJR 1013. Representative Riden for some introductions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we have some folks here from DU, and I've lost my list. So someone took my notes, but if you all would, where are they now? Oh, they're down here. So we have Kathy Grieve and Julie Kyra, Chrissy Cecil, and Kevin Carroll. And they are all with the University of Denver administration, and we're sorry that Chancellor Coombe couldn't be here today. A sudden emergency came up and kept him from coming today, but please join me in welcoming our folks from DU.
Thank you, Representative Riden.